Hey, we're again going to talk about feel versus real, but today we're going to talk about what the backswing feeling is relative to the reality of the mechanics of the backswing. All right, so hey, this is volume 2 of feel versus real. Today we're going to talk about the feeling of the backswing positions, the backswing motion. Now, one of the things that I can blend together here with you when I talk about the mechanics is I can give you the reality and the measurements of this. So that's a cool thing, is to be able to give you the quantification of the body movement, match that to what's happening, and then think about what we feel. And I think those all go together. Matter of fact, that's why I spent a lot of my time quantifying things, because I wanted to know what was really happening versus what I felt was happening, which is really what a lot of my instruction has evolved from, is not guessing at stuff and then going, oh, that's if you do it correctly and you measure it, you'll get the feeling. So think about the process here. If I measure it correctly and I make myself move correctly in positions, then I will gain the feeling of that. I think that's an important way to learn, in my opinion, as opposed to just trying to guess at it all the time. So the backswing. And here's what's very interesting about the backswing is, if you look at kinematic sequence data, the sequence of a golf swing quantified, you see some interesting things. You see body parts move together at the same rate. They accelerate at the same rate for a period of time. And then in the middle of the backswing, things start speeding up. Just like the through swing, the backswing parts start speeding up. So what you get is, the backswing is really everything moving together, and then the shoulders and the arms speed up and then slow down at the top. That's really what you get. The pelvis doesn't accelerate as much. So what happens is the pelvis is going back and it speeds up and then it slows down, while this is speeding up and slowing down even more. So you get this kind of nice acceleration in the backswing, but it's when you actually see how much movement you have, which is really interesting. Let me quantify it for you, then we'll talk about what it feels like. So at address, when I make this first move, so from position 0 at address into this first movement, so this is just about right here, and you can see it's not that far back, but what quantifies pretty interesting here is that from here to here, you're getting about half of your pelvis rotation, half of total rotation, where this will get to a 40 to 45. You're getting about 20 to 23 degrees of rotation in the pelvis, just in this first movement. To the top, oh, by the way, and the torso in this first position, in this first movement, is about 50 degrees. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Now, when I get to the top, I'm gonna have about 80 degrees of torso rotation. So thoracic, shoulder blade, torso rotation. So I'm gonna have 80 degrees total, where I'm getting 50 here. But here, hang on one sec, before I go through this. At address, my torso is slightly open, so I'm about 15 degrees open here. So in other words, from a positive 15 open to a minus 50, you're getting 65 degrees of total torso rotation when I have a total of 95, because I go to minus 80 plus the 15 minus 95. So 65 of the 95 of rotation, 2/3 of it. So 2/3 of your rotation of your torso occurs in the first move. This is why I always tell people the first move of the swing is a very important movement, because that dictates your ability to take it on plane to the top. If you don't get the rotation correct, the club doesn't move correctly into the backswing. So here we go in the backswing and quantification. So I have 20 to 22 degrees of pelvis. I have roughly 65 degrees of torso here. And then what happens is there's not a lot more torso rotation to the top. What you see happen here is mostly arms and shoulders. So the arms, upper shoulders, take it to the top. So it's like, I always kind of reference like this: lots of movement, just a little movement. Now what happens in this, though, you see a lot of club movement because the trail arm folds and you see the club gets a lot of leverage to it. So that's when you see the club start making its leverage angle to the top. And so you see, in a golf swing, you see a ton of movement there. You see a ton of that because the club's going like this, but the body's not doing that much. It's mostly here in the right arm, right hand. So my feeling is, and this is where I kind of match up the feeling to that data and those mechanics, the feeling is simply this, is from a really good address, quite a bit of turn, everything together, and then I feel, and this is just a feeling, arms, shoulders, and hands to the top. I feel mostly just arms, shoulders, and hands. Now, of course, there's a little bit of torso rotation, but my indication is that that it's the right side doing most of that movement, the left side's not doing much. What I don't like to see, and I see this so much, is people trying to wrap their torso back. They're trying to get all this rotation of the torso, and it's so out of sync. It's out of relationship with the arm movement. What matters here is that relationship's maintained, and then the arm stays here. And that's why we call it, keeping the arms in front. But it's actually just that relationship of being on plane that allows you to keep the club in a spatial relationship to get where? To impact. So don't get caught up in all this turn. If you're gonna get caught up in turn, get caught up in position one. And of course, you'd want to quantify as much of this as you can, but get caught up in making sure that from here to position one, you do a nice job turning, and then just take it to the top. So watch that here, and I'll just do a little slow motion version of this in the backswing. And you see lots of movement, a little bit of movement, then you see the transition. I hope that kind of gives you an idea of how you can, well, first of all, why it is so important to quantify things, because it's not about just turning as much as you can. You hear that all the time. It's about turning the correct way to get the club in the correct place to get it on plane. If you're having trouble with your swing plane, it may just be because you're turning too much, and I see it happen all the time, and the arms cannot find out where to go. You got most of the turn, arms and shoulders onto the plane. Mo called it, that was his term, in then up. Makes a lot of sense. He went in, and then up, and it, Mo made a lot of sense, but again, matching feel and matching it to the reel is sometimes difficult. Using video, knowing the quantification of the data, and me helping you, hopefully will get you through some of that. Thanks for joining me. Hope you're enjoying the single plane swing. I'll see you in the next video.